I'm going to come to you and get a reaction to that, sure. Which is Iran. There's some questions now as to whether the president would actually shake hands with the new president of Iran. Apparently that's not going to happen. But what is your sense as a member of Congress, given all the 30 years of hostility between Iran and the United States, your sense as to whether we should accept what appears to be a hand reach out to us?
Well, look, I think there's nothing wrong with talking to your enemies and people that you're worried about. It's a lot better to try to do diplomacy than engage in warfare. But I think it's very healthy to have an extraordinarily large amount of skepticism about anything the Iranian government does. There's not a long history there of trust between our two nations. So I think there's a lot of skepticism there. I also think it makes sense to keep those sanctions in place until there's verification that the process of the centrifuges in creating the weapons that they can create from those centrifuges has stopped. Is
trust but verify sufficient in this kind of situation? In other words, some people think Iran is just playing with us. They don't mean what they're saying.
Well, I think we should continue the sanctions. I think we should continue everything we've done working with Israel in the meantime to prevent that from happening. But we should always welcome at least the appearance of a diplomatic overture.
All right. I want to bring things home now to the state of Illinois. You do obviously represent 5th Congressional District, but we've been dealing with violence in a significant way all around this city. It's a good day to ask you about this because to tell our viewers where you spent part of your day.
Well, I was in the back of the yards at the park where 13 people were shot just last week. I got a ride along with one of the outstanding police sergeants in the city of Chicago, and I met with the superintendent earlier before. And a little bit of it, look, I have to, they've been under the heat for a long time and justified because there's a lot to do. There's about a 15% reduction in crime from last year, a 21% reduction in murders. It doesn't seem like that, and there's still a long way to go. But I do want to thank our officers who are protecting us and trying to improve a very difficult situation.
And 4 arrests made in that situation so far. But let me ask you, and I presented this question last week to Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle and to others, which is, some say when you look at the statistics that you just cited, what Chicago really has is an image problem. It's a perception problem. This is national news, Mike. You know that. But when you hear about these shots and killings that occur, it's hard to call it perception.
Well, look, it is a serious problem. But the number of guns that we confiscate in Chicago, already this year, 200 weapons designed for a theater of war have been confiscated by Chicago police. So there's a lot that has to be done beyond just the perception. The fact of the matter is people can go to a gun show in nearby Indiana and buy anything they want without a background check. They can buy a weapon like that was used in the back of the yards just last week. You can do that if you're a felon, if you've been adjudicated mentally ill, if you're on a terrorist watch list, you can do that. So there are sensible measures we can take to reduce this problem.
You said you met with Gary McCarthy today, the police superintendent. Of course, Governor Quinn has offered state police to help Chicago out. McCarthy was very clear today, going, no thanks, we're doing just fine. On the congressional level, you have to wonder about National Guard, that kind of thing. My question is, what is your sense, and you see violence even in your district, I mean, it's all around, what is your sense, are the police, do they have the resources they need, or are budget cuts really been impacting the work that they can do?
I think they're doing the best with what they have. We should remind people that the state police do patrol our expressways in the city of Chicago, and there are a number of projects they work very closely with the city of Chicago already. I think we need more police. The problem there is obviously a funding program, but yet at the federal level we are still funding mid-sized nuclear weapons, which most people say are extinct and have no military value. Those costs are greater than the price of those weapons weighed in gold. Those are hundreds of billions of dollars protecting us from a Cold War that doesn't exist, rather than the hot war which does exist in our city.
Are you suggesting that funding should be taken and rechanneled to states for this kind of police use enforcement?
That's exactly what I propose the amendment to make that change. You know, the police grant was zeroed out by the House majority. The actual money that helps fund urban areas, hire police, was zeroed out. We need to go the opposite way.
All right, a couple of minutes left. I know the environment has been one of the key things on your agenda as of late, certainly in some of your touring yesterday. Give the president a grade on the efforts, and what hope do you have in a Republican-controlled Congress of getting environmental bills passed?
I give the president an A for doing the most he can for executive orders. Unfortunately, statistically, this is the worst House of Representatives in the history of the United States from an environmental report card point of view.
Also, in terms of any accomplishments, I mean, that's
It's
the
a
number of
do-nothing
bills
Congress.
passed. Yeah.
You know, it's bleak house.
Do you have any hope on any bill to get through?
I had some hope that immigration might. I'm afraid that what's happening right now with sequestration and with the threat of shutting the government down, that we'll lose a chance to pass a critical bill.
So even that won't get through.
I don't see it happening.
Let me take you back home. You know, elections are around the corner. Of course, you're at the congressional level of the ticket. Federal level, the Democrats had their slating meeting over the weekend, and they slated Pat Quinn for governor, of course, Dick Durbin for Senate. What is your sense about the work, the accomplishments of Governor Quinn? I know Democrat, you'll support the Democrat, but a lot of people say he hasn't been strong enough on the pension issue, which is critical in the state if Democrats hope to win.
Look, pension issue is a bipartisan failure over the last 20 years. The failure to make payments, the failure to promising too much in certain instances. So we have the Democratic and Republican houses and governors who have failed to do the job. The governor inherited an extraordinary problem. It's going to take all three levels of government to get this right.
But should he be more involved, Mike? Should he be saying, look, Speaker Madigan, look, President Cullerton, this is what I want in a bill? Or should he just be saying, I'm here to sign things, figure it out and send it to me?
I think all three are equally responsible. They need to get together and get this done. They need to get it done yesterday.
What is your sense? And by the way, apparently we've checked in with that committee. There's nothing new on the table right now. They're not even getting paid for their work. What is your sense of that as the governor's strategy? Keep them from getting paid. It's political.
Look, I think it's political. I think this shouldn't require that sort of a threat. I think it's very dangerous because we do live in a state and a country where the Constitution's separation of powers are very important. What happens if in the next session the governor just doesn't like what the General Assembly is doing on any other kind of issue and threatens not to pay them? It is exerting a pressure that's probably inappropriate, but on an issue that should have been done a long time ago.
All right, we're out of time, but do Blackhawks win the Stanley Cup again?
Absolutely.
All right, we got him on the record.